My name is Lenny Reese. It's Sunday, September 21st, 2008, and we're at the Ina Levine Jewish Community Campus. As part of Jewish in Arizona, Memories and More, a project of the Arizona Jewish Historical Society, we are talking to Elana Storch and Debbie Harris, two women who together have made a major difference in our community. And I'm going to ask them to tell us about where they started.
The Wexner Foundation came to Phoenix, and they were looking for young people who were active in the community to do a leadership development program. And so Elana and I were both nominated to do this, and we both passed the entrance, which was pretty hairy. And then And nobody really knew what this was all about. There were, I think, 20 of us, and we went on a retreat, and then we proceeded to study every other week for 4 hours a week together.
Well,
and
my understanding is that people who were invited to Wexner are really hand-picked and potential Jewish leadership, and it's to create a strong cadre of leaders in the community. Elana, what do you remember about your Wexner experience?
It really was to create literate Jewish leaders, because you have many people that have been chosen to be leaders in our community because of what they might bring to the table in terms of their business knowledge or what they have to offer financially. But we have many illiterate Jews, and this was a way to educate our Jewish leaders. And what I remember is being very shocked to have been chosen, and very surprised that I was there, because I did have a strong Jewish educational background. A pivotal moment, we were about 14,000 feet up on a peak in Utah at this grand dinner. It was the opening of this event, and Rabbi Herbert Friedman, of blessed memory, who was the president of Wexner at the time, basically gave us all a charge that we were there for a special reason. We would figure it out as time went on, but there are many needs in our respective Jewish communities, and we were there to fulfill these needs. And regardless of what people would say to us, and here in this community, it was absolutely no way do you need a Jewish community high school. The doors were slammed in our faces, and we started to explain this to him. And he screamed back at us and said,
go get them.
Yeah, and
basically, he said, don't take no for an answer.
Right.
And let me just put this into context. The two of you felt the need here.
Well, let me give you a little bit of a context.
Okay.
My children had been in day school as well as Elana's. And when my son, who was much older than my daughter, was in the 3rd grade, at the Hebrew Academy, I and several other parents tried to figure out how we would have a high school here. Unfortunately for us, there had been a high school here that was a failure. And so we had a big obstacle in our way from the organized Jewish community. In addition, we were coming on the heels of the implosion of one of the day schools, which the Jewish Federation ended up, taking over and settling the kind of economic distress that the school was in. So there was a very bad taste in the community's mouth about, this kind of endeavor. And really, we met roadblocks. This small group of people, when my son was 8, and my daughter, who is 7 years older than he is,
younger,
no, she's actually older. Our children, many years later, 10 years later, were able to be in the 1st class of this Jewish high school. So you can kind of get a concept of how difficult this landscape was to bring this idea of a new Jewish institution, which truthfully, at that point in time, the leadership in the community, throughout the community, really had a very ambivalent feeling about the idea of a Jewish high school, a community Jewish high school, for a variety of reasons. one of the really critical moments of the school's development was after about a year and a half of Fred Zeidman and myself going individually to synagogues and Hebrew school directors and just generally people in the community.
The power brokers of the community.
And people at the Federation, and getting really very not strong support. We decided that we would invite all the rabbis of this city to come to a meeting at the Federation.
Which was historic. It was the first time that you were going to have rabbis from all the movements sitting in a room together at the same table.
What I really loved about this was it really was a historic moment, because the Orthodox rabbis had never met the conservative rabbis, have never met the Reform rabbis, and everyone was sitting in the room. They really didn't know what was going to happen. We basically embarrassed them into coming, because we said, look, every year you get up and talk about Jewish education. Now is the time to really get with the program, and if you don't, we're not gonna take you seriously. The main thing that we created at that moment was this kind of consciousness that for the rabbis, that we expected them to come up to the bar, and that it was no longer going to be okay to simply talk about Jewish education in an abstract format. And also the other piece of this that was historic was, at the same time that we were having this meeting, the Jewish Federation's task force on community and continuity, or whatever they were calling it that week, asked people in the community what they would hope to see, and
what they felt the strongest need was in this community.
Yeah, and the remarkable thing was that individually, all of these rabbis hoped for higher Jewish education, i.e. a high school, but nobody could do it by themselves. So this meeting that we had was a realization that A, we are very serious about this. We are taking you at your word that you are serious about Jewish education. And B, we can't do this without everyone's cooperation.
It was a true community effort.
And it was
the only way it was going to succeed.
Yeah.
It was the only way it could succeed if we all did this together.
We got a seed grant of $1,500, which we used to be in contact with other communities that were starting Jewish high schools, that had Jewish high schools. We brought people here with that money. We brought an expert from the University of Wisconsin who came and did a retreat with our small group of people about how to create a vision-driven institution.
With the two of you working together and getting people to sign on in the community, things were rolling, but my sense is that one person really came on board and made a tremendous difference. Elana, who was that?
Sheila Schwartz.
Tell us about that.
Well, my memory is going to her with you to introduce this concept to her, and this was something that was very close to her heart, because she and her husband Jess had been very instrumental in the Phoenix Hebrew Academy, had sent their children there, and I heard stories about her rolling up her sleeves, being there every day, making lunches, and doing anything that the school and synagogue needed.
So I called up Sheila, and I said, Sheila, we've done everything they asked us to do, but we need to show them that we have $100,000. What should we do? She said, well, tell them you have it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as this continued, I mean, in every step of the way, as they were concerned about the fiscal stability of this institution that we were trying to build, Sheila was there.
Yeah.
It was like...
You barely had to ask. She said, you girls, you know what you have to do. And I always was thanking her. This is something I will never forget. I always was thanking her for the opportunity she's given us and to our children, to the future of this community. And she says to me, she's always said to me, she goes, I have the easy part. She goes, she goes, it's easy to write a check.
And from these wonderful beginnings and Sheila coming in with the naming gift. Elana, if you could just take us from that point to where you are today and just give us some facts.
I'm going to fast forward to today.
Wonderful.
I had 2 children graduate from the school, and I have 2 sophomores, the twins, currently in the school. It is unrecognizable to what it was when we opened up our doors in that, on that beautiful day when we dedicated the school. And I just invite everybody from our community to come see what we have created.
Okay, thank you very much, ladies, and congratulations on what you've accomplished.
Thank you.